let's move to the next topic. So we'll go back to the assistant. We have ideas. Now let's talk about generating human-like content. Now, this is something I'm very proud about because, I mean, initially there was a little bit of confusion about whether Google is okay with AI content or not. Now there is no confusion for those who are, not aware of this. Google has published on Google Search Central that AI content is not going to be banned from Google. In fact, they have quite positively written about AI content. And, we all know that, the average content on the internet is not that great, and AI content can easily beat the below average content and the average content. So the discussion on that is over. AI content is completely fine with Google. And what I still do is, I still run my content from ChatGPT through one of these checks. So you can use writer.com, which is sort of a simple one, and you can put some content that ChatGPT has written for you, and then basically just test it out with these kinds of tools. And now this content was not written to be human friendly, but this is just to show you as an example. I'll show you how to write human friendly content, but you can just put that in here and then click on analyze text. It's going to take some time. It's going to give you the detection score. And I have sort of, to be very honest, reduced running this because Google is okay with AI content, so I really don't have an issue. But most of my content passes this with 100%, sort of a good score, 100% human result. So I am able to let algorithms know that this is human content while it's generated with AI. Let's see. Seems to be pretty slow today. Let's search for another tool. Copy Leaks has one. I know. Let's try that. Most of these can also detect GPT-4, so it's not like if you upgrade to GPT-4, then you have some advantage over these tools. This is a sample, and then so this is human text, right? That's the result of this test. Now, this is not human text. We all know that. I have written this with ChatGPT, but it's crossing through it's passing the AI detection algorithms pretty well. And it's something that I've obviously trained ChatGPT on. So this is my copywriter, and I call it the APOC LinkedIn copywriter because APOC is the framework that I use. Now, all your webinar landing page, etc. content has been written by ChatGPT, of course. But what I do is I have a very simple strategy to do this. Write a post for my LinkedIn promoting the upcoming ChatGPT webinar. Keep a semi-casual, I'm going to say semi-casual Indian English, semi-casual tone, and write in Indian English. Okay. UK English, it's the same thing when it comes to written English. Use emojis, or let's just see what it comes up with. I use emojis on my LinkedIn, so I like to add emojis. But this is what it comes up with. And then now this is the hack, all right, guys. It's so simple that but it blows my mind every time it works. I would say now rewrite the post so it does not sound like AI content. Make it more human, add emojis, and my personal touch. Now, in this case, I have told ChatGPT what my personal touch is. So, add more emojis and organize it in bullets. But the hack is to actually tell ChatGPT to rewrite the content. And this works much better than using Surfer SEO, which is something people recommend. I mean, they have a good affiliate program. But if you just say, rewrite the post so it's more human and it does not sound like AI content, that should be enough for ChatGPT to rewrite it and cross through all of these AI detection tools. And that's because it works because AI content usually has similar lengths of sentences. So if you see, it's usually going to be similar lengths of sentences in each paragraph. So this sentence and this sentence and this paragraph are more or less in similar lengths. This sentence and this sentence. This is the way that they detect these sort of algorithms. And then by adding emojis, you add another layer of humanity, sort of, or the human touch there. Then you have this, you have told ChatGPT that you're writing as me, which is something that I will recommend, that you should say, I am Rish, write as me. That's like a good prompt to say. So it says, I am excited, we'll cover, grab your coffee, join me. So those are all terms which also help in making it more human. So this is sort of the simplest hack. There are many hacks. People use different tools where they put the content from ChatGPT, put it in another tool. It could get quite complex. But all you need to do is basically just say any piece of content you create, just say rewrite it so that it does not sound like AI content. That's all. And that should typically work. And of course, I also add emojis, which help me a lot. How does it remember your personal touch? So even with GPT-3, if you maintain one thread for each thing that you do, Vivek, it's gonna recollect, and then you can always remind it. You can mention the tone again, so that it can. So see, semi-casual tone is something it knows that I always use semi-casual tone. So it also says for the webinar, make sure you use a semi-casual tone. So it's giving me back my information. Another way that I use to remind it of what I do, what I like. For example, I have an ideal self decision guide, and this is where I have trained ChatGPT on all my mindsets, my frameworks, etc. So I told ChatGPT, you are my ideal self. My name is Rish. You are the ideal version of me. I'll call you Ideal Rish. I will tell you my morals, life principles, mindsets, frameworks of thinking. In future, whenever I want to make a decision, you will guide me based on the inputs I will provide now. You will tell me what Ideal Rish will do in that situation. Do you understand? So in this case, by the way, do you understand is sort of a very good hack that you can use. And that's something that I like. So it just checks that has it really understood this, but otherwise I will prep it further. So based on this preparation, I'm not always in a good mood. So when I'm in a bad mood, instead of making a decision myself, I'll just ask ChatGPT, what would Ideal Rish do in this situation, right? So I also tell it, I have some rules for life. I don't want to miss habits twice in a row. I want to follow my habits 80% of the time. I want to spend my time and energy based on my priorities. So there are some things that I want to do. I want to do yoga, meditation, be nicer, etc. So ChatGPT learns from this, and then it's able to, tell me what needs to be done, what apps I should use, what time schedule should I follow today. Sometimes I'm just, I've told ChatGPT what I like to eat, what are my eating habits, and sometimes I just ask it, what should I cook today? So it knows what kind of foods I like. So record your lesson for the course at 9 a.m. So this is sort of something that you can train over time. In terms of how did I do in initial prompt training, I keep prompting and I keep prepping all the time, but I try to maintain some key threads, that I can go back to from time to time. The next one is to use ChatGPT for SEO. So let's dive into that. So this is the one thread that we use for SEO. And I've also given it a name, and I've given it a name, Sophie. So I could always go back and say, hi, Sophie, how are you today, etc. I mean, people are nicer to AI. I don't do that very often. But things like, give me some SEO keywords related to this keyword, etc. Those are all like things that, we all understand. But this is how I use this, okay? So typically what I do is I would start with a keyword. I know that a lot of people use ChatGPT for finding keywords, but this particular thread is for Mapplinks, which is my agency, and we're an e-commerce marketing agency. So suggest some new blogs for Mapplinks on e-commerce marketing, and the post titles as well as SEO keywords for each, put it in a table format. If you're just starting out, I would say if you do this, you're probably not going to get a great response. And that's because you haven't, ChatGPT does not know what map links is, what kind of keywords you've already been ranking for, you've been targeting already. So it already knows the keywords that I've already worked on. And now it's giving me the new keywords and it's giving me titles. So importance of email marketing for e-commerce. It knows that I offer email marketing services. It knows that I offer CRO services, etc. But if you were to start from scratch, what I would do is I would pick one keyword. So let's take the keyword e-commerce email marketing. Suggest 5 blog post ideas. So it's also giving, of course, related keywords, but all of these have e-commerce email marketing. And give me a checklist so I can optimize each post for the SEO keyword, including H1 tags, header tags, all tags, etc. So just to give it some direction. Obviously, you can also give your own checklist, but these are the checklists that these apps use. So if you're using WordPress, for example, you might find Rank Math, all-in-one SEO, of course, Yoast SEO. They'll probably give you like similar options. So keep the checklist in mind. So once you've prompted this, once you've prepped this, essentially keep the checklist in mind and generate an outline for the blog. The next thing that I do is I always ask it to generate an outline for the blog. The reason I don't ask it to write the blog is because I want to adjust the outline first. Maybe I don't like the outline, right? So here it says 5 tips for successful e-commerce email marketing campaigns. It's sort of a generic blog, right? I'm going to change it to, let's change the topic to 5 tips for successful email marketing welcome automations. So welcome automations is something that brands use where they have a series of emails, whether they are e-commerce or otherwise. But specifically with e-commerce, you might go on this website, an e-commerce website, and find people have to opt in for a 10% off, and then they'll get a welcome automation. So this is sort of my welcome automation email where I'm sending them the offer. I'm giving them the incentive. I'm using a clear call to action. I'm personalizing the email. So these are good tips. These are more specific than just e-commerce email marketing. So I like this. However, what I don't like is that it's not really the tip, test, and optimize. It's a little bit too generic. So I'm going to further optimize for specificity, which is how you get human-generated content and unique content with AI. So change tip 5 to A/B testing your welcome email, right? So I'm going to add my growth marketing expertise here. If you add your expertise, then you're already AI +1. So you're sort of adding your expertise. Now we have a new outline, which is pretty solid. And then I'm going to actually pick up the first one. We see that it's incorporated the keywords pretty well: e-commerce email marketing, e-commerce email marketing, e-commerce email brevity, e-commerce email CTA, e-commerce email incentives, e-commerce email A/B testing. Very good related keywords there as well. So I'm just going to then copy the first one and then say write. So copy each of those, and then you let it write the introduction first, and then you let it write the the next paragraph then. So this is how you actually can make proper SEO optimized content. Write the content for each of the points under. Right? So about personalization, how to personalize. And the other advantage of taking each point, like personalization, as a separate point is that you will get enough content. So you might see that, ChatGPT runs out of content. So just take that particular point and then let it write. You can also try the prompt by saying, rewrite the above so it does not sound like AI content. Now, I don't do this all the time because I've already sort of prepped it, but you see it looks quite different now, right? So this one looks slightly bookish, and this one looks slightly more human friendly, right? Easier on the eyes, easier to read. the sentences are not of equal lengths. The first point and the second point are slightly shorter in length, while the third, fourth, and fifth points are slightly longer in length. That's how human beings write. And this is like one of the things that I repeat from time to time, just to break this sort of equal length paragraphs and equal length durations. So that's on the SEO side. Typically, the keywords for the keyword research, I will use SEMrush. I trust SEMrush, or I would use Google suggestions, etc. But I will not use ChatGPT for keyword research. I know some of my friends who run SEO agencies, etc. They use ChatGPT for keyword research. I still think that the data of keyword research may not be very accurate when it comes to ChatGPT. So I would pick the keyword from SEMrush or some other tools, and then I would feed the keywords here, and then I would use it to create all of this content. So I would continue these points until the entire blog is complete. And then I would put it on my WordPress, and then I would do a final check for SEO. Typically, when I copy the content from ChatGPT to WordPress, my SEO score is already in the 80s. And then when I add the featured image, I add a few images. I personalize this further with my screenshots, images of my, one of my clients, for example. If I can add the welcome email from my clients, I just add it in. And then I check the SEO score. It's typically close to 90. And for a lot of these e-commerce marketing keywords, I've been doing this workflow with Sophie here, for 3 months. We've already started ranking for like 20 keywords in those 3 months, which are pretty solid keywords in our industry. Klaviyo case studies is one of them. Klaviyo versus Active Campaign is one of them. So those are blogs that we've all written through ChatGPT. They've all been ranking on the first or second page of Google. The ones who are ranking on the second page, I give it back to ChatGPT and I say, we are able to rank on the second page. How do we get it on the first page? What are the possible sources of backlinks? What are the possible improvements on the content? And then I just work with Sophie on improving the rankings. Nidhi, that's a very good idea. You can give an example of another website for the content tonality. And yes, it can imitate that. If you're not able to give the link for some reason, if you're still on the free plan, for example, then you can just copy paste it. Sometimes, you can also, if you have a specific client, like I have a client, I don't want to confuse my ChatGPT, but I have a client which likes this, not for this particular space, but I could also rewrite the same using Australian slang. You can even do things like that. So good day, mate, and it starts from there. So sounds very Australian slang. Obviously, this client that I have, who is Australian, is not agency. It's a more fun business. So for them, we often use this, rewrite the content using Aussie slang. Here are some dinky tips for you. So it just adds in that tonality right there. Of course, you can also translate to different languages. But yeah, those are ways of using it for SEO content. So we've covered quite a few topics. We don't have a lot of time left, but let's see what else we can cover. So we've covered SEO, human-like content, growth ideas. Okay, cold outreach and marketing calendars. I'll show you 2 examples, one of each, so that we can cover those 2 topics as well as promised. Any questions so far before